we welcome you to the program. Great to be here. And talking about Newark, talking about Columbus Day, we think of one person, Steve Adubato, the Adubato family, legendary, all that they have done for the great city of Newark. And Steve has a big interview coming up. He's going to tell us about it. We welcome our friend Steve Adubato to the airwaves. Steven, it's been too long, my friend. How are you, brother?
Buongiorno, Giuseppe.
Hey, buongiorno, my friend. Hey, Steve, I was just talking. I jumped on it's crazy. The media market is nuts, right? I'm over at WABC. I'm on with John and Angelo Vivolo, and then we come over here, and we're all together on this. But we were talking about Bloomfield Avenue, and talking about the Columbus statue there, and then but our mutual friend, Buddy Fortunato from the Italian Tribune, the legendary, in the name of Asa Langa. Steve, remember Asa Langa? How much did you love Asa Langa? And so we don't have as you listen around the country, and as you listen certainly in New York and Jersey and Connecticut, we had, and tell me, Steve Adubato, when you were a kid, the Columbus Day Parade in Newark, New Jersey, that was the event. That was huge, right?
Never missed the parade, Joe. Always proud on Columbus Day. I know there's a lot of controversy about it, but for me, for my family, for the friends that you know that are closest to me, the guys that we grew up with. Yeah. We will be celebrating on Monday, and it's for all Italian Americans to feel pride about not just what we've done, but way more importantly, our ancestors who came here, mostly from southern Italy. I know you were in Avellino, which is where my family's from. Yeah. So listen, it's going to be a beautiful Monday. It is Columbus Day for a lot of us.
Yep, it's so true. And I was there. We went to Prato la Sera, Steve Adubato. We went to the little town of my grandfather. And I used to listen to my Uncle Ben and my pop talk about around the dining room table there. And they would tell us about Prato la Sera. I said, where's the Prato? We went down. The whole family was there. It was great. You know, my grandfather's name was Rosario, right? So now when we were sitting there trying to work our way with the best Italian we could talk, you know, and they made a great dinner for us. Joey was there. My daughters were there. So then a guy walks in, and then my cousin Maria goes, presentarle. He goes, Secondo Rosario. They go, after all these years, they call him the second Rosario. Rosario number 2, because my grandfather was Rosario number 1. Is that not Italian or what, right? Secondo.
Joe, it's very hard to explain to people who are not, quote unquote, our people, at least from where we come from. It's very hard to explain our traditions, our families, and how Joe Piscopo, with no way he was going to Italy like on the down low. It would be a big deal. The town would open up. I know there was a big parade. I actually saw, thank God for Facebook, I was able to follow you in Italy, and it looked like there were 6,000 people at a private family dinner.
We went, I went to, and we're going to talk about Steve Adubato. It was a great interview with Governor Murphy. We're going to tell you where you can see that.
I forgot about that.
But I got to say, so I go to, because because I always admire Padre Pio, Francesco Forgione, the great priest from Pietrelcina. So I go like this. You'll love this because you'll get this. It's like, I say to Steve Perillo, I go, Steve, I'd like to go to Pietrelcina. And he goes, isn't that where Padre Pio's from? I said, exactly. Can we put that on the tour? So they put it on the tour. So only us would get it. Do you know people? We got on a bus and we went to Pietrelcina. It was Padre Pio's hometown. They gave me, and a shout out to my friend Luciano Lamonarca, who was the head of the Pio Foundation. And he got me to get recognized from the mayor. There's one mayor named Mazon, the other guy Mason, and they're all, and then we go into the church where Padre Pio was. That's where he was brought up. And the priest brings me up, and I got to step on the pulpit, and I got to talk to somehow I got through it, and I just talked. They applauded me. And I got to tell you, Steve, this is something interesting. Maybe you should do a story on it on your show. Is that the churches are crowded in Italy with the responses like I've never seen. Like they've never seen. Everybody was there. It was like 1958 in Newark. Do you know what I'm saying? Remember those days? You weren't even born. You weren't even born yet.
I was just about. But are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Padre Pio. Yeah. Down in Lavalette, where we summer, right? We have a little summer house down there.
Tell me.
What is the church right on 35, Padre Pio, with a statue of Padre Pio, and right next to it, I heard this summer, right next to Padre Pio, there's going to be a statue of Joe Piscopo right there. and Joe, they're not going to take this one down.
You know what? They better not touch any of those statues. I'm telling you, the way it's going now. And that is, there's a whole it's like a whole destination that people go to down. It's in Lavallette, correct, Steve?
It's in fact, I've been thinking about going back to Italy. I went a few years ago, and now, Joe, you were going to text me the information. I know I'm not going to get the welcome that you got, but I'm going to Padre Pio's hometown, to the church. I have to do it because I've been connected to Padre Pio for years down the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, you know what it is. It was extraordinary, and I could feel it. Stephen, despite what Al says, I know Governor Murphy is a nice guy.
I want to hear this transition. Hold on, Al. I want to hear this transition.
Yeah.
Governor Murphy's very close to Padre Pio.
Oh, I am.
Yeah,
I am. Me and Morty got to meet him.
Don't even.
What?
Steve,
Morty's my dog.
I got to wrestle this back every morning, Steve. Help me out here with Al. So he goes, I know Governor Murphy is, I know people get mad when I say this, but he's a nice guy. He is a
he's
gentleman.
A very nice guy.
Listen, I voted for Jack Ciattarelli. I think Jack is the guy. But listen, politically we differ, but he is a gentleman, and he is a very, and let me lead in with this. When we did the 100th anniversary of the great New Jersey State Troopers with Pat Callahan, my buddy, the superintendent of doing
great man.
Stellar job. Colonel Callahan doing a great job. His father was a trooper. All the troopers were there. And you know what? Governors didn't show up. You know who showed up? Jim McGreevey showed up. And you know who else showed up? Governor Murphy showed up. And he walked over to me, and he was so polite to the New Jersey State Troopers. And we don't forget that. So tell us about the interview. Any news you could break on the show with us, Steve Adubato?
Well, it's this weekend on public broadcasting, WNET in New York, NJTVS in New Jersey. Check out, I'm uncomfortable with branding, Joe, but you can check out steveadubato.org.
No,
all the times this weekend. Listen, we talked about affordability in New Jersey, the fact that New Jersey is losing a significant number of people to Florida, no income tax there. Carolinas, we talked about inflation. We talked about property tax reduction. How about this one, Joe? Yeah. We talked about a non-controversial subject, sex education in our public schools. It was a fascinating discussion. I also asked him to go back and ask himself if he made any mistakes and he would take anything back in the year plus dealing with COVID. I asked him about the nursing home situation.
Wow.
And I've asked him this 10 times so far. Governor, do you regret sending people back into nursing homes who had COVID and were treated in hospitals? He did not back down. The governor, listen, in my mind, he is seeking higher office. If Joe Biden does not run in a couple of years at 82 years young, then Phil Murphy is going to put his hat in the ring. It's going to be an interesting campaign. Already 2 years from now, it started.
Steve, where can we find the interview again, please?
At WNET in New York, 8:30 tomorrow morning, and also NJPBS all weekend.
We'll be watching. Steve, thanks to you and your family for doing so much for the great city of Newark. Your father, your family, the whole Adubato family, they were the first. They came up with doing so much, and the North Ward Center helping out the at-risk community, and with Ray Chambers right there by our side. We salute you, Steve Adubato. Appreciate you taking the time with us. Will you tell Nikki Greco I said hi, please? Can we do a Nikki shout out on the radio? Can we do that? Huh?
Nikki's listening right now. He's going to be thrilled. He's paying for dinner tonight. Ciao, Paisani.
Thank you. Happy Columbus Day, Steve. We'll love you too, man. We'll be watching. Steve Adubato right there.